Greetings, y'all. It is I, Mystic. Welcome to Mystic Behind the Journey, Episode 3, Creation, Part 1. I am thrilled by the folks that I will be joined by today. Greetings to folks as you are coming in. Greetings. I'm just making sure I know how to turn on and off comments and requests to go live and questions and things so we can have a nice conversation. You like my background? Thank you. I'm using the focus filter, but my background that is behind me, I am in my mother's garden right now, my sacred place. So it's all lush and green right now because we are actually in the season of summer, and so it's gorgeous. I'm not sitting underneath the table umbrella today. It puts this strange blue hue over me, and so I'm just kind of sitting out in the sun with my towel, right, looking like I just stepped off stage, like, ooh, let me wipe myself down now. I see you. Let me see. I just sent you a request to be in the video. Come hang with me. Greetings. You're in your scrubs again. Is your supervisor there again today?
He'll be in here in a second. You know, he wanted to watch and be nice.
Oh, okay.
He's a good dude, though.
Yeah. How's your day going?
You know, hanging in there. We're kind of short-handed, but it's good.
Yeah.
How about yours?
Are you working like a Monday through Friday or?
Tuesday through Sunday. Tuesday through.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh wow. So you got like part of the weekend.
Yeah, it's good.
But then you can get your errands done on like a quiet day when other people are at work, right?
Yeah, or in the morning sometimes. You know, because I work 3:30 to midnight.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. So often you're asleep then.
Yeah, in the mornings. Yeah, you know.
I heard it. I'm happy. I'm so happy you were able to join today. We'll give folks a moment to come in before I introduce you. Greetings to everybody who's coming in the room. Greetings and welcome to Mystic Behind the Journey, Episode 3, Creation, Part 1. I am thrilled about today. Because this is the first kind of deep dive. We had the Angel and Matt, my A&R, on the first episode, and so the Angel obviously produced on the album, so we were able to dive into that kind of stuff a bit, but it was more about personal foundation and the foundation of me as an artist. Last week on episode 2 was DU, Who You With, and you popped in for a bit, and that was also about laying foundation of where I come from. And so this week we actually start to dive into you guys as producers on the album and kind of talk about production and the journey and the songs and, just kind of check in about it, I think, in a cool way so that people can see behind the scenes. And also I think there's things that you can remind me of or I can remind you of. And it's just kind of cool to reflect on 20 years. So we'll give folks another.
Matt here's too. Matt's here
What'd
too.
you say?
I missed it.
Oh, greetings. Hello. How are you today?
Good to see you again. Good to see you again.
Good to see you. Happy Thursday.
Right.
So do y'all work the same shift? Or are you on the 3:30 shift too?
Yeah, Matt's the supervisor.
Yeah, well, I mean, your supervisor doesn't have to work your same hours.
we here.
Over the course of the day.
Yeah. For the majority, we work together. All right, it's good seeing you.
I love it. I dig it. Nice to see you. Thank you for dropping by. And once again, greetings to those of you who are in the room. Thank you for joining. We're going to wait until just maybe like 5:05 because time is precious.
Right.
And can I call you CD or am I supposed to call you Gutter Dash now?
No, you can call me CD.
I mean, at least I'm not calling you your birth name,
right?
right?
You know me for a long time, so You call me CD.
Yeah. Well, essential is like, you always trying to call somebody by the government name. And I'm like, no, I'm calling people by the names that their mothers and fathers gave them. And
Right,
also from us all being on tour together, I needed to know everybody's name and the
right,
rooms that folks were in, right? We
right.
all needed to kind of know each other's names.
Yeah.
And so I
And
don't
we need
know.
to know
For
where to
people,
find each other in case something goes
right?
wrong.
And you know and love people, I'm like, I don't really want to call you by your rap name. You
Right,
know what I mean?
right. No, no, that's good.
So yeah, this person is like, yeah, you got a cool supervisor. You
Yeah,
know,
he's a
look, we both are people who, yeah, we both are people who have, what I would call, more standard jobs, right?
yeah.
I traditionally work from, I don't know, 7 to 4 or 5. I'm working on my research. I've been doing
Okay.
7 to 6. I've been
Right.
doing super long days, but you and I are both folks who are creative and artists and who also work jobs. We like to be able to take care of ourselves and our families.
Yeah,
And the thing is that most artists in the world are working artists.
yeah.
Um,
Listen, it takes sometimes the road to what people aspire to get. Sometimes they're in it for the wrong reason. Sometimes they just want the money. So
yeah.
it's still, sometimes you got to take a break and still do a regular job. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, and I also think, and I think a totally we can do it as a different discussion, but that having a job and being an artist means
Mhm.
that I can make decisions about my music based on what I want to do creatively, not based on financial need,
Right,
right?
right,
And so that allows me to kind of uphold my ethical beliefs and what
right.
I would do. Atron, I see you. Oh my
What's up,
goodness,
Adrian?
Atron joined us.
The
Wow, greetings.
legend, Adrian.
I know. All right, here we are. It's 5:05 for folks who are in the room.
Okay.
Welcome to Mystic Behind the Journey, episode 3, Creation, part 1. My first guest today is CD. He is part of the Digital Underground family. So what you guys are going to figure out on this 20th anniversary kind of IG Live series is you are going to come to understand and recognize how deeply my first album, Cuts for Luck and Scars for
Right,
Freedom, is within our digital underground family and world,
right,
right? Folks
right,
may not understand that and may not know that.
right.
But we are also artists in our own right. So please introduce yourself. Well, I will start off by saying
Okay.
that my first guest produced the Gatas and Once a Week, which are both songs that I love.
Right.
And so welcome. Please introduce yourself and tell folks about yourself as a artist, where you're from, all the good stuff.
Ooh, okay. First of all, my name is Dash. Everybody calls me CD. Like we all got a few different names out here in Reno. Dash, CD, C Dash. I'm originally from Monterey, California. So what's up to everybody that is in Cali, especially if you're from Monterey or the Bay. Yeah, I kind of when you started working on your album, I kind of got lucky because I had just started producing. I always had the ideas and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I had just started buying equipment and just started, getting my feet wet. And, I was lucky and blessed to be a part of that classic album. So, I
I
was very
mean,
honored.
thank you. I don't like, for some
Yeah.
reason, I don't think, I don't tend to think of you like as a beginning producer at that time, but I don't know. We'll dive into it.
Right,
You and I met through DU, but
right.
you are a member of like a crew from Reno and a dope hip hop group from Reno. Will you tell us a little bit about that?
The group that I was a part of is called Element, and it was 4 of us, but we had a big crew. You know what I mean? So it was the 4 main members: Dialect, HD, Metaphysical, and Kyle Hot Steez. So we pretty much. I moved to Reno in '96. Was messing around and met them. I met Metaphysical through my grandfather.
Oh,
My
wow.
grandfather used to be in the Metaphysical worked in the casino in the Pepper Mill. And my grandfather used to go through there and gamble, and he he was old, so he knew all the old people in there, and he would always tell Metaphysical like, "Yo, you know, my grandson raps," you know what I mean? So and Metaphysical is a good dude. Like, he's a great
Yeah.
dude. So he was
Yeah.
always like, "Oh,
Absolutely.
he was like, I want to meet him sometime." So when we met, we just clicked,
Nice.
and it's just, you know, I had started doing music with Ricky Hendrix, who was Jimi Hendrix's cousin, and he had a deal with a label, and I was like just kind of doing some raps for him, and they offered me a deal. So I didn't want to do it by myself. I was scared. So I was like, I went to Meta and I was like,
I
"Yo,
love the
like,
honesty.
we need to get together." You know, it was 3 of them
Yeah.
at the time, and they were all with it. So we did that situation, and it turned out that, you know, we didn't like the contract or whatever, so we ended up not doing it. And then
And did Johnny brought you in with DU? Is that
right,
my
right. So
remembering correctly?
like a year later, we were doing a car show at the same time. We were performing at a car show at the same time that Digital came to town. They were doing radio. They were on tour.
Yeah.
So I guess from what I understand, somebody at the radio station said something about us, and they brought Digital to the where we were performing at. And there was a ton of people there. And all of a sudden, you know, we're performing and we see this afro with purple streaks in it walking through the middle of the crowd. He's doing
I
like
love it.
this. And
Oh,
we
I
looked
love
at each
it.
other. And at the time, because we didn't know everybody personally, we looked at the
Yeah.
crowd and we go, "Yo, that's Humpty Hump." You know what I mean? We're looking
Yeah.
at each other, we're
Yeah.
trying to keep it together while
Yeah.
we're performing. You know what I mean? And we looked to the side of the stage. I think you were there too, huh?
I feel like I was. I'm not sure. I once had a great apple drink in Vano though.
Yeah, I think you were there. It was you, Johnny, Monk, and the Loonies were on the way.
Mm.
And so
Yeah, I
Clee
kind of
was there.
recall.
Yeah, Clee was there. And when we got off stage, everybody came up to us. They were like, "Yo, y'all were dope," and blah, 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 blah. And Johnny kept in
Oh
touch
my
with
god.
us. And
Yeah.
so then Johnny started bringing us to Oakland. It took like about 6 to 8 months, but he started bringing us to Oakland and
Yeah.
putting
Yeah.
us in
But
the studio. Man.
we went out on the digital tour
Yeah,
together. And I mean, I just want to say the Element super dope. You know, hip hop after my own heart.
yeah.
And we still need to do something with the version of Maria that we talked about on the
I
last
know, huh?
episode. I think we should just put it out. But I want to talk with you about, because we only have about 20 more minutes, but I want
Okay.
to talk with you about the two different songs, The God Is and Once a Week, and kind of go through them in similar ways.
Okay.
Because I thought it would be cool for me to know, but also for folks who are listening.
Uh-huh.
Let's start with Once a Week, which I will say is the only song like that on the album, right? Where I'm kind of speaking from that perspective, like, we could chill, but I don't want to be your woman. You know what I mean?
Right.
But that, first of all, for people, they should know that song wasn't written about myself.
Uh-huh.
It was written about a dearly beloved sister of mine who is about 10, 11 years older, and that's how she moved.
Okay.
And I got it and I understood it, and also coming from Oakland.
Right.
And so it was really, you know, written from the first person, but drawing from a woman or several women around me. But what was crazy is that, like, women in their 50s and 60s loved that song. And I didn't, you know, I was in my 20s at the time, and I was like, wow, you know, there's these women in their 50s and 60s
Right.
loving the song, talking about, do you want to ride with me?
Right.
But in thinking about that song, I'm curious of, like, you know, what you recall about producing it. What kind of equipment did you produce it on? And then I want to talk about what you remember about the session, if you do anything, the recording and the mixing process.
I just remember I made the beat trying in my mind to make some real hip hop shit. You know what I mean? Like, I was like I said, I was still getting my feet wet as far as, like, I had all the ideas, I just didn't have the equipment. When I started getting equipment, I was just trying to just make sure it was hip hop. You know what I'm saying? And when I finished it, I sent it to you along with a few others, and I didn't know what you were gonna pick, but that was one I was hoping you were gonna pick, and you did. You know what I mean? When I listen to it now, I go, man, I wish I could change that snare. You know what I mean? But it's still, you know,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
still,
yeah. Do
you
you
know,
remember the equipment you made it on though? Like what equipment did you start on?
I forgot what it was called. It was black. Johnny talked me into getting it. I was going to get an MPC, this drum machine. It was the ASR drum machine.
Oh, it was the ASR.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice, nice,
And
nice.
Johnny was like, no, you should get this one. I'm like, man, I want an MPC, you know. So, but he
Right. What
talked
did
me into
you end
getting.
up thinking about the song lyrically and what I was talking about?
I thought it was dope. I mean, I remember sitting in the studio when you were recording it, and I was just like, you know, you kind of pulled something out of it that I didn't expect. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know you were gonna go there with it. So when we got to the studio and you went there with it, I was like, that's perfect. Like
Oh, wow.
perfect. Like, you know, I still was trying to figure out, you know, now I can kind of hear direction and where certain and have ideas, but then I didn't. So but I really didn't expect you to go there with it. And when you did, it worked. I was like, that shit is dope. You know what I mean? It
Oh,
was
wow.
dope. So
Was the Goddess? Do you remember? Did we record that in the same session? And was it part of the same collection of beats that you sent me?
yeah, we recorded both of those back to back because we came down to LA. And
Right.
the
So for
Goddess, I
folks
remember.
to understand, when he talks about coming to LA, he was living in Reno. I was still living in Oakland. I was still working with children. Folks, I would get sent the tracks, I would write, and then I would come down to LA and literally we would record over the weekend. We were
Right.
at Sound Image Studio. Matt Lavella, my engineer, still to
Right.
this day. We literally, it was an unautomated board, mixing board. And so
Right.
we would record and then we would have to mix it where we thought we were going to mix it
Right.
that day. For folks who make music and understand that in 2021 and for quite some time, even back then, if you were in a studio that had it, you could have an automated board, which means that you could pull up your ADATs, you could pull up your reels, whether digital or reels, you could pull them up and then you could continue to work on a mix wherever you were. Because
Right.
our board wasn't automated, we had to go in, record it, and ride every single level in the recording and the mixing to get it out. So I'm
Right.
curious, like,
Hey,
did
look,
we record those the same night or do we have the whole weekend? I don't
I think
remember.
we were there for 2 days.
Were we there for 2 days?
I just remember your engineer. He was cool as hell too, by the way, right?
Yeah, Matt. I'm still trying to convince Matt to come on here. He doesn't really want to be on video. So
Well,
I may record something that's purely audio and do it that way. But let's talk about the Gatas. Like,
okay.
where did you maybe draw inspiration from? I'm imagining you produced it on the same equipment, but like,
Right.
what did you think about what we created with that song?
Like I said, that's another one that just fit. It was perfect. It was, you know, when I made the beat, that was one that just kind of just came out. You know what I mean? Like it just kind of just came out. I didn't expect you to pick that beat. You know what I mean?
What did you expect me to pick?
I don't know. You know, I'm sitting here trying to make some hip hop stuff, and to me, what makes that hip hop is what you did to it. You know what I'm saying? It you know the way that it flows and the harps and stuff in it and things of that sort. It was just something that I was expressing, you know, getting out stuff that was in my head and just let it flow. You know, I didn't really have a direction when I made it. So when you picked it, like I said, you found, you know, what you heard in it and what you put to it. I was like, she did it. You know what I mean? She did it.
To me, it was such an example of this beautiful, and I think it's kind of a classically me type of thing, right? Is I love musicality. I love harps and flutes and, you know, oboes and pianos. And I love all that, but then I love these rolling bass lines and I love these 808s that bang. And, you know, you can give me a little grimy and drums. And so the God was this, it was wide open in a way, but hella musical at the same time. And it was, you provided this you provided like this tapestry for me to keep
Mm-hmm.
weaving on lyrically, where I could tune into, talking about a 16-year-old boy
Mm-hmm.
and talking about what I knew
Right.
of experiences with them of moving in the streets
Right.
and selling drugs, and but also, trying to say like, you don't have to do this, right? But
Right.
not coming from a perspective of like, look, don't sell drugs to your community,
Right.
right?
Right.
But saying
Right.
like, I see you, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're a baby on the block, right? And
Right.
and just and laying out that when you make these decisions,
Uh.
um, at the time, I thought that you super had to stay dedicated to them, right? If
Right.
those are the choices that you make, then those are the choices that you make. In
Exactly.
2021, I would say, look, you can make choices and then transform your life,
Right.
and not be in those places. But your music, for the Gatas, allowed me to be in that space. And I was listening to like the backgrounds on there, right? I was
Uh.
like, oh shit, this is that male voice on there, right? But you gotta have
Right.
tech, you gotta have money, you gotta have sex, you gotta
Right.
have a crew with them niggas acting funny,
You're right.
right? You gotta be a gangster, gotta get back, gotta be love and fear.
Gotta
Yeah,
get
get
it
it all, got
on.
to get it, but it ain't got yet,
Yeah.
right? And so this piece of life, and I think it's, we were still all quite young, right?
Yeah.
And I think, and on any debut album, what we're making musically and what we're doing lyrically
Right.
is inclusive of everything that we've experienced to that point. So
Right.
I'm talking for hella long, but
Right.
I don't know if there's something else you want to say about either of those songs before I start asking you about other things.
No, like when I think about it, I just remember being green and just being honored to even when I got the call, you know what I'm saying? And what was funny when we talk about your engineer, I just remember he was mixing the beat to the Goddess, right?
Uh-huh.
And he, like I said, he's a cool dude, love him to death. I remember him. And when he turned his back, I pushed that kick, the fader on the kick drum more just to give it some more, you know what I mean? Because I was trying to tell him, like, kicking a little more. I think you need a little more kick. He was like, nah, this is cool. He turned his back. He went to get some water or something. I pushed that kick up a little bit. He doesn't know that to this day.
You know what? He will probably
But,
listen to this and then he'll go listen to it and be like, "Yeah, I wondered why that was like that." Since he's
right,
hella perceptive about it. But the thing is
right.
you could have you could push it, but maybe you turn the volume. Did you turn the volume up?
Just a little bit, just a
Yeah,
tad bit,
yeah.
and then
It's what it needed though, because the way that, particularly the way the snare hits in that,
yeah,
right? I've always wanted to perform that with a live I mean, I have performed it with a live band, but it's particularly special to perform with my DJ Bonds, and he puts in the gangsta,
yeah.
it's not about a salary, it's all about reality. And at the end,
Mm,
which is not on the album, I go into singing about like, gangsta,
right,
you don't have to be a gangster.
right,
That you don't have to be these things. Look, I love gangsters. It is what it is. I've
right,
dated gangsters. I've dated drug dealers.
right.
It's not. I'm not saying that that's a wonderful thing, but part of what we hear on this first album is the understanding and the experiences that come from that, and coming from Oakland. But so I wanted to ask you, like, we have about 9 more minutes. We're doing good.
Yeah,
And again, thank you to your supervisor.
yeah, Matt. He just hit the corner.
For hanging out and letting us do this.
Right.
But I was curious, like, what were your thoughts about what happened with the album? Like, what did you expect to happen with the album as it was pulling together? Because I'm not sure that I had any particular ideas about what would happen with the album. It was all about simply making the art and trying to make the dopest art possible. And I had this opportunity to like craft my own album, right?
Right.
But like, did you have any thoughts about what was going to happen with the album?
You know what? To be honest with you, I was just like a sponge. You know what I mean? I was like a sponge. I was just like, because every now and then you'd call me and tell me, things that were going on, or we'd be doing a DU show or something like that.
Yeah.
and you'd be like, the album's going great, it's almost done, blah, 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 and you were just happy with how it was coming out. And I was just looking forward to hearing it. And when I heard it, I was just like, this is crazy. You know what I mean? And the response that it got, you know what I mean? The response that it got was crazy too. And I was just like,
did you think that was going to happen? Because again, you and I were kind of, you know, we were digital at the same time, different ways to ending up in our family, but we were digital on tour with digital and became members around the same time. And really, it wasn't me who was supposed to be next up out of the camp. It was supposed to be Essential. I'm very clear on this. Shock was like, it's Essential. The single with Wind Me Up, that was the and then lo and behold, I got a call and I got a deal, and it was my turn.
Right.
And you guys all supported. And yeah, I just remember being happy, but I had no idea what would happen with the album. And definitely, like, in terms of performing the songs that you produced, I don't perform once a week hella often, but I constantly perform the Gatas, because it's a therapeutic song, right? And again, like, I'm saying one thing, but energetically, what I'm trying to put out is like, please save your life, right? You don't have to do this. I love you. Please, you don't have to do this. So I'm not sure we knew, but a few more questions I want to ask you. Do you have a favorite memory from tour?
From touring.
As I told Mun and Clee, you know, we all know what happens on tour stays on tour. So a memory that you can share from tour.
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest with you. The very first day of our first tour, it's just like everything just happened. Like, we're sitting there, and I remember Shock months later, like, because the tour was 3 months long. I remember after the first month, he was just like, yo, these motherfuckers don't even talk. You know what I'm saying? We were in awe of him, so we didn't talk to him that much the first month.
Yeah.
But the very first show of the very first tour that we were on was across the bridge in Frisco. And all of us, we all get off the bus. We're walking. What is that place called in Frisco? I don't remember where all the shows go on in Frisco, right there, right next to the freeway.
Oh, there was. I mean, DNA was near the freeway. There was,
real popular.
Spot on. Well, DNA was popular, just not in your day.
Okay.
Wholesome. I don't know.
Well, we got there, and we're walking in. We get off the bus, because I don't think we stayed the night. We stayed the night because it was Frisco. We just had to go do that show real quick. It was the first show. We're all walking down the hallway.
Maritime Hall? Is it Maritime Hall?
Yes.
That was it. That's where I performed, I think, on the day of my record release, too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So we're walking to the dressing room, and it's just people on the side of the walls, and they're all like, you know, what's up, digital, and this and that, right? So that's the elevator. Like I said, we're new. We're like, so all of a sudden I hear, Shock, what's up? And I look, because Shock was like 2 people ahead of me, and I look.
Yeah.
So I was like,
dopest people came to the DU shows, right? And it was being able to perform for the folks who laid the pathways for us.
Yeah.
Who opened the doors for us. And I think that Shock was always excited to being like, yo, these are my young spitters, right? This is my crew. Like, and presenting us to these who even then were legends, and the folks who opened the door. We had some fun times in the Bay Area.
One of them I won't go into detail with.
Some cannot be talked about.
Right.
I will say really briefly, because I won't use our last bit of time for this, but we were going on tour one night, and like, I don't know, the week before we all went out. Clee would remember this. We all went to the strip club in San Francisco. I don't know if you were with us, but that was quite a freaking night. So before we go, we have a few more minutes before Amp Live comes up. What two questions? One being, how do you feel like you've grown as a producer, and like, also let us know what you're working on now.
grown a lot as a producer over the years. I'm much more of a perfectionist, and now I understand where I need to be in the pocket versus when I started. I mean, it's been years, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And so, but now, you know, we have an artist that we're working with, and we're finna start working with Wendy Day, Wendy Day, with him.
Oh, love Wendy. All
Yeah.
respect every day.
His name is Hippie Creed. He's out of Atlanta.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. I'm working with him. I'm working on the Dorm Room project. I'm working with my boy Low on his stuff and his crew. The
And
Dorm
then
Room
you're
project.
some more music, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna sit down and get that together this weekend.
I
You know
need
what I
in
mean?
no rush. I need a new batch, but the last batch you sent me, I had it when I was over in Oxford, and when I
Okay.
would watch classes all the time, I would listen to it and be like, "I love this. I don't think this is quite it."
Right.
I think that one thing that folks would agree on, those of you who worked on the first album, is that even though it was my first album, that I had a pretty clear idea of
Right.
what I was trying to do and what I wanted it to feel like.
Right.
And I think I continue to be that way, but I think you also continue to produce music in such a way that it has that musicality with that bang.
Right.
That you are so amazing with that musicality.
I
So,
appreciate it. I appreciate
yeah, absolutely. And where can people find you here on IG or Twitter or Facebook or wherever?
Gutter Dash on IG. Twitter, you know, I forgot my Twitter name. I don't be on Twitter like that. Except for when I'm sending CNN messages about Trump. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
That's the
yeah,
only time I'm on CNN. But Gutter
yeah.
Dash here on IG. And
Okay.
you know, that's about it. But
All right. I just want to say thank you and I love you. And I
I love you
appreciate
too. I
you
appreciate
and
everything.
for being part of, you know, being part of an album that was such a huge part of my healing, right? And my story and my foundation. And thank you for being my crew. And thank you for being my family. And just thank you for being you.
Oh yeah, I appreciate you too. And I want to say what's up to my son. I seen him in here watching
Oh,
Jaden Gold. I see him in there watching, you know.
oh, Jaden, you should send me a request on here so I can see
Yeah.
what you're doing, what you like.
Yeah, he's about to finish college. He's 22 now. About to be
I heard
23.
that. I
Yeah.
heard that.
So,
That's beautiful. That's
yeah.
beautiful. Well, once again, thank you to you, and thank you to your supervisor.
Yeah.
Keep doing the work. Really quick, tell the people, what is it that you do? Why are you in Scrubs right now?
I'm in Scrubs. You know, I make we make the surgery kits for the surgeries the next day for the doctors. So we pretty much have to make sure everything is in there the way it's supposed to be, or somebody might die.
Yeah. So well, give it up for Dash. Give it up for CD. Somebody who is an amazing artist, but somebody who is also contributing in spaces where lives are being saved and lives are being improved. I
Mm-hmm.
think we need to appreciate our frontline workers and those of you who are in the world of health and have been throughout the entire pandemic. So
Right.
thank you both for the work that you do, and I appreciate you.
I appreciate you too. Love you. Everybody
All
said to
right.
tell you hi too.
All right.
All right.
Peace.
Bye.
Okay. Love you.
Love you.
Amp, I'm bringing you up. Amp is like, I am here all on time. Sorry, I am 1 minute late. I just sent you an invite.
Whoa.
Greetings.
Oh my
Greetings.
gosh. Oh
I
my
know.
God.
Before we start, I want to give people who have checked in a refresher. Greetings. This is Mystic Behind the Journey. This is episode 3, Creation, part 1. I am honored and delighted to have my next guest, who I will not call by their birth name either. I will call them by Amp Live. Amp Live
Let me
produced
adjust there.
produced Girlfriend, Sistagirl on the album, which is,
Oh yeah.
excuse me, a song that I love, and it's a song that is so wonderful to perform. And it also is just like in the stories that have been shared with me with women across the years, is a
Yeah.
song that is beautiful to them. And you get the women in the front of the show holding their baby on their hip, like, girlfriend, sister girl. So anyways, that is my introduction to you, but will you please introduce yourself and tell us
Um,
about yourself?
oh, I see somebody's from Dallas too. Yeah, what's
I
up?
know.
Texas is my home state.
I know.
So
Texas in the building.
I know. My name is Amp Live. Most people know me from the hip hop group Zion I, but I've also done a bunch of other stuff since Zion I. I have a group with Eric Rachmani from Revolution called Unified Highway. I've done an album with Dell called Gate 13. I do my own projects. Uh, just been producing all kinds of stuff since day one. So I'm all over the
Yeah.
place.
You're amazing at it. How did you
Thank you.
so for people to understand, I believe that you and I are connected through Walt Liquor and Bat Management, right?
That is a long time ago. I
I
forgot
know,
about
but
that.
the album is a long time ago. So
Yeah.
for folks to know, Walt Liquor, who I call Walter,
Yeah.
Walter, that he produced on the album. He will be on this series as well, but he
Nice.
also went on to become my manager, and he was also managing, I think, Zion I and Planet Asia, and we had quite a squad, even though we were different.
Yeah.
And so I think that's how we came together. I wondered like what you might remember about that time.
Yeah. I don't know if I was messing. Yeah, you know what? That is what happened. Then you got signed to what was the name of the label again?
Good vibe.
Good Vibe. So I think I already knew Matt at that time. That's what it was called.
Yeah,
So I think I
yeah.
already knew him and it just all connected. But yeah, I think we met through Walt actually. So that makes sense.
Yeah, we were in the same circles, Zion I and
Bay
me
Area.
doing my thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
Bay
Bay
Area
Area.
circles. And those of us who were actually performing, right? I keep saying on
Yeah.
this series, and it's not to talk any kind of ish about any artists who are coming up. It's just like for us, there was no real internet at that time, and we
Well, I
had to learn
would.
how to
Yeah,
be ceremony,
you're
right?
making us sound old right now, but yeah, you're right.
We
There
are
was
not
no
hella
internet.
old, right?
Don't
We
say there was
helped
no internet.
grow. I know it sounds hella old, but it's like there was a different way of paying
Yeah.
dues. And I think that there are younger artists who can still benefit from learning how to be masters of ceremony, learn
Yeah,
how to
yeah, that's true.
communicate, learn how to work a crowd, learn
That
how
is
to
true.
what the energy is.
Yeah.
I want to ask you what you remember about Girlfriend, Sistagirl. Like, do you remember what you produced it on? Do you like, was
Yeah.
that,
I
we're kind of at the time? Just, you know.
That's when I was definitely still analog, so I did it on my MPC 3000. And yeah, I had been listening to a lot of Battle Cat, a lot of Snoop. And we were in the Bay, so we had that funk
Yeah.
vibe. But
Yeah.
I definitely was in more of a funk type of arena in my life. So when I made that, I was like, she would sound tight over this. But I think we were kind of working before a little bit, not too heavy.
Right. Right.
So it's like when I sent that to you, I think we had done some music before. But yeah, I sent it to you and you called me. You're like, oh, I like it. I wrote a hook to it or something. And you sang the hook. I was like, oh man, this is about to go. It was big. So I was like, yeah, because it's like I imagined that's how you would sound on it. And yeah, you just came through right away. You called me, and it was just really direct. Like you kind of led the ship, which is what I liked. So it was just like, yeah, I didn't really
Yeah.
say that much.
I feel like, I think everybody is like, and then you called. But it was one of those pieces of music where I was so clear that it
Yeah,
spoke to me and that it banged. It was part of
yeah,
what I was looking for when I talk about, I always, part of my aspiration was to be able to ride from one side of Oakland to the other side in like the vein of Too Short, whose songs were hella longer, mind you, and we had
yeah,
way
yeah, 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 yeah.
less information. But you could ride from one side of Oakland, from East Oakland, all the way down into West Oakland and to the bottom
Yeah.
and you could listen to something bang, and it had this this just beautiful, yeah, funk to it, but that it also was this palette for straight spinning, right? And being
Yeah,
able,
yeah,
and
yeah.
who knows why I decided to talk with women, but like,
I liked
you
it. That's
provide.
the best. That's the best part I liked about it. You had a message that wasn't really being said that much. I mean, it was definitely a lot more then than now, but like, especially on the underground tip, it wasn't being said that much the way you were saying it in a song format. So I really liked it.
I mean, and for folks who may not be familiar with it, Girlfriend, Sister Girl essentially tells the story of three young women who are all in situations. One is in love with a drug dealer, and it's like, he put that dope in your closet, but where is he now, right? Like, baby girl, he doesn't
Yeah,
love you, mother of the world. And another verse is about a young woman who has experienced, I think I wrote from a perspective, right? Because I was a young woman who was raped, from a perspective of a young woman who had been, in ways sexually abused, and that men never saw the value of who she was, and she was just like ready to live fast and
yeah,
die, right? And crash in the 6-9, right?
yeah, yeah,
While she's crying. And then the last verse was about the young women that we often meet if we are more in the streets of, you don't come from here at all,
yeah,
but you decide to be here.
yeah,
You decide to be in these lives. And it doesn't mean that they don't have pain in their own homes or arguing with their own parents, and that they're escaping from that and coming into our communities for that. But just to be able to talk with those women in that way, and it's kind of like in talking with the Gatas with Dash on the last one, and saying, look, I was talking about the 16-year old boy who was in the streets and had to have Hennessy and
yeah,
had to have money and had to have bitches, and excuse my language, but that was
yeah,
the language that this 16-year-old would have used. And Girlfriend, Sister Girl was this same thing of wanting to have this conversation and talking about incorporating parts of myself, incorporating parts of the community, and wanting to say, baby girl, sister girl, girlfriend, you are so worthy
yeah.
of, you're the mother of the world. You are so worthy. So I'm curious what you remember about the session, about recording it and mixing it.
I don't remember anything.
Do you
I'm
remember?
sorry.
I was trying to remember. This is why I don't
I
send you
don't
guys
remember it.
before, though, because I think this is part of the cool part, right, of trying to remember. Is that, did we record this did Tajay record
No, you see at this point you were kind of rolling because you had that first single that blew up, and then you did the album, right? So I don't
No,
think you
not at
sure
all. I'm absolutely positive. I mean,
you
you're
I
talking about underground, okay, all right, and things like that, but there was nothing from the album, and Current Events as a college single wasn't put out
yeah
until the album was complete. And so there was nothing that was kind of out in the
I
world from
don't
the album before we rolled. I
I don't
think,
remember being in the
and I'm
studio with
sure,
you.
or maybe we recorded it at Walt's house.
Yeah, but I don't. You know what?
There
Honestly
was
I
one
don't
song that
remember.
Tajay recorded,
No,
and
he
we
didn't record.
recorded like
I think this is
down.
definitely something that Walt. I think it's definitely something that Walt recorded. But I think, at that time, I've been working with Walt so long that I didn't need to be there necessarily, especially because you were his artist. So it's kind of like I came in, and honestly, I hate doing sessions like that. I'm like I've
Yeah,
learned to do it, but I'm not. I don't like sitting there recording vocals. So I'm pretty
right.
sure at that time it was just like, yo, just do it and then I'll come check it out
I'm
or
gonna have
whatever.
to, I should have brought a copy of the album out. I'm gonna have to look at the credits and see
Yeah.
where it was recorded. And then I will bring that information back, because like I don't remember a hell of about recording it, but I remember it feeling good to sing that, right?
I mean, it sounded awesome. Like that's
Uh,
probably at that time that was part of my big 3 or 4 songs that was going on, because
mm,
I had Closer happening. We had
yeah,
Zion I stuff happening. I had another song with Guapolo too, Got It. And I think like
yeah,
yeah, girl, like that was a big song on the horizon for me. So
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I
it
mean, it's
sounded great.
connections are interesting, right? Because Guap came after me. Walter
Yeah.
and I provided anything we could to Namani and to Guap to try to have them understand part of what the game was and what the
Yeah.
path Guap came through. Hyro, having come up with
Yeah.
Hyro, I love my brothers. I don't think they ever would have put me out as an MC. They didn't loved me as an MC, but it wasn't until I put out my own album, I think that they were like, oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And so the things kind of happened in sequence, but they didn't. And at some point they intersected, but they were probably being worked on at the same time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It was a lot in the works. Like it was stuff brewing. So
Yeah, yeah. How did it feel to like have that amount of songs and with the artists and being from a
uh
Bay Area artist?
it felt good because also the Bay Area at that time was bubbling. Like we were strong in the underground. We had some R&B stuff happening. I mean, you had E42 Short and like
Yeah,
all the old Tony, like you still had that
yeah,
still resonated, but overall, you felt like something. We were underdogs, so it's like you felt it going up because the hyphy stuff hadn't hit yet, but you knew like
right.
certain stuff was happening. So it was a fun time. Like the period where you were out was actually a really fun time because there were still a lot of shows. Nobody had busted out yet necessarily. So it was like a really strong supportive underground movement, you know?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's dope. How do you feel? How do you feel? And I know this is kind of a quirky question, but I'm interested in since that time, how you feel like you've developed as an artist, as a producer,
Oh,
creative.
yeah. I mean, it's just gotten, yeah, I'm just older. It's just bigger, better. I mean, it's like, I think then we were fighting to get established and then we
Mm-hmm.
got established. And then from there, it's just like, okay, I need to buy a house now. I need to support my kid. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. Oh,
we,
hold on 1 second. There's somebody did it. They looked it up. It was recorded by Walter at Darkman
yeah, there
Recordings.
we go. Yeah.
Recorded
Dark Man
over at his house.
Recordings,
I got to figure out what the song
AKA,
was.
AKA the
There
house
we
studio.
go. Yes, exactly. Sorry, please continue.
Yeah. No, I just feel like, it's like, just became a professional. Like, I think then we had buzz and talent, but we couldn't quite say we were professionals yet. We were just
Yeah,
like young professionals. But after a
yeah.
while, it's like we became solid and, you know, you can make a song, you knew what was going to happen with it,
Right,
So
right.
yeah, but things have been great since then, so it's definitely like the song that we did together, I definitely will always remember it. And it's definitely part of my, professional
Yeah.
professional big song
Yeah.
categories.
It was. Did you ever hear the remix that was done
Yeah, that
that
was
Bilal
the
sang on,
I didn't hear.
and that
Okay,
Mike
so I
City?
do remember this with the song. I do
Yeah,
remember this. It was definitely a issue because the version that I did, most people were saying we should put out commercially, but my name wasn't as big as the remix producer. So they put that version out as the main one and put my version out as the B side. I do
yeah.
remember
Well,
that happening.
is that it didn't, and I'm sorry that happened, but it didn't actually ever officially get pushed. The
Yeah,
direction that the album was supposed to take, which I've talked about and we'll talk about when A Plus is on here, is I was hesitant about putting out the life, but then it was supposed to go Girlfriend, Sister Girl, and then Neptune's Jewels, and it
yeah.
was this progression. And so Mike City did the remix, although my
Mike
next
City, that's right. Yeah.
yeah, although my who did Sunshine Anderson and all, was down
Yep.
and all kind of dope stuff. Um, but that my next guest from Sample 208, just this morning, he sent me a remix to Girlfriend Sister Girl that was like an acoustic guitar remix. So there were different
Nice.
that were being commissioned. So I apologize if you felt like that one was what was pushed because it was never officially released as a single.
Oh, no, no, no. I didn't, no, it wasn't. I mean, at that time, yeah. I mean, at this point, looking back, I'm like, well, okay, yeah, business is business. But at that time, it was kind of like all the remixes were so different. And
Yeah,
I just
yeah,
remember Matt, like it was like, yo, this next single needs to be the blow up single. And when I thought about it, I was like, this song sounds the most commercial out of what she has on the album. So yeah. But then
Mhm.
Mike City had a bigger name. So it's just
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
you know,
And that came out to be dope, but it wasn't actually what I envisioned with Bilal. Because he was like, well,
yeah.
what do you want me to say to the women? And I was like, well, sometimes women prefer to hear things from men. And for me as a woman to say, you are so worthy and you are the mother of the world and beautiful, it may not have been received the same as if a man said, hey,
Yeah.
you are worthy and you are beautiful and you are amazing.
Yeah, it
And so
was
what
different.
I ended up doing on that was simply um, recording harmonies on it.
Yeah.
But who knows what would have happened if it got released commercially?
Who knows?
I'm
Like,
not sure. I personally love the one
yeah.
that we couldn't have had it. We couldn't have had it without it. But it also was an interesting time in terms of remixes because remixes were totally
Yeah.
different. You didn't
Yep.
simply lift an a cappella track and go lay it over something. For the most part, you went in with a producer and you re-recorded it live in the studio so
That's
that it
real
had
talk. Yeah.
it had a different feel. I think we should bring that back.
I think you know, it's so hard now because technology is light years ahead of where it was. So yeah, I don't know.
And I don't mean girlfriend sister girl back, but I feel like we should bring back um, totally differently styled remixes. Like
Yeah,
write new mixes, switch up your hook a little bit, do
yeah.
something.
I think, and I was just looking at Flying Lotus's Instagram yesterday. He had this thing where him and this dude Jeffrey, I forgot what his name is. This dude makes music on the spot, but basically, he has this video Twitch setup where they just make beats on the spot and they vibe out for like an hour. And I thought
Yeah,
that that was very interesting, and that kind of alludes to like what you're talking about is like doing
yeah,
something that is just really just natural and is like your first instinct just right there. I
yeah,
think that was what those remixes were back in the day. And I like
yeah,
that energy. So I kind of feel like that's something what you're talking about. I would love to see that type of thing come back.
yeah. I would love to see it too. Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe we can create something and make it happen. Before I have you, because I know I can't keep you forever. Although it's so good to see your face,
Yeah.
and I kind of publicly say, you and I used to communicate more, but like I super appreciate you as a human being and also as a creative and an artist and a continued, not just art, but pathways that you have contributed to and openings. And I think it's exciting and it's wonderful to witness. So thank
Yeah, I
you for being
appreciate that.
my debut album, and thank you for coming on today. And before I let you go, I just want to ask if you want to let people know what you're working on or where they can find you.
Well, my Instagram is Amp Lives World. So you can always hit me there. This has been a very exciting year for me. I've had some things happen that have been pretty big in my life. I had Sweetie use a song of mine for her new single Fast. So that
Hey.
has definitely changed things. And
Yeah.
I had her R&B artist that I greatly respect.
Yeah.
She redid
Love
the Guapla Closer song. So I have
it.
a song off the new Guapla album. I mean the new Her album. So
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it.
yeah.
I love
So
her
that's been cool.
talent. Did she play guitar on it or did you just
Yeah, she played.
produce on it?
I don't know if she played guitar on it. I know she's a killer bass player though. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean they basically reinterpolated the song and they did a
Oh, wow.
beautiful job of it. So
That's dope. I mean, you deserve it. And part of the purpose of doing this IG live series, as opposed to me just going and doing interviews, is really
yeah,
trying to help people. And yeah, my journey, but also we all come from somewhere,
that's
right?
true.
And so many of you guys are on. People are doing way bigger stuff and producing for way elevated artists, but
Yeah,
we all came from the underground and
definitely.
earned our stripes there, and it's a beautiful thing that our legacies continue to to venture out in the world.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, us interacting and what we did together is definitely it's part of our DNA. So I think that's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. And I hope you have a brilliant rest of the day. And I won't ask you to do it, but I will say that I would absolutely love to create with you again.
Yeah, let's keep in touch. It's been a while. I
Yeah.
mean, but the
Yeah.
thing is, we've done some songs together. I think you were on a Zionite and Grouch album.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. You know, I come in for the Eli and the Grouch and Eli
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Grouch. And people are like, oh, we haven't heard you on this. We haven't heard you on that. We haven't heard you on Hyro. And I'm like, go look for a spoken word piece. Look for a hook. Look for a verse.
Yeah.
Look for whatever was needed from me in the piece of somebody's art with people who I love.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't do hella collaborations. I don't get on hella people's albums. But if people look on the albums that I get on, they're with people who I have great respect for and love for.
Yeah.
So,
Good stuff.
yeah. So I'll reach out. We'll stay in tune. I sent you my cell. Just holla.
Okay, we'll do. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Thank you for being here and so many blessings to you.
All right. Talk to you later.
Peace.
Bye.
All right, y'all. Oops. Hold on. There he is. As I just sent a request to you, Adam. I'm going to move my camera a little bit now that the sun is not, well, maybe it's in my face anyway. Greetings.
Hi.
Hi.
Am I on?
Before we
Am I
start,
on?
oops. Hold
I've
on a
never
minute.
done this. I've
Here
never
we are.
done this before.
I know you've never done it before.
I mean, I've been on Instagram, but I've never done
Yeah.
an Instagram live.
I know, and I'm so thankful that you showed up. My phone just like broke off the paper, but I'm putting it back together.
Okay.
You kind of like catching a forgotten verse. Keep rolling and rocking. How are you listening to your volume?
I'm on my phone.
Okay.
So I mean, I can. Do I sound okay?
You sound okay. I myself in the.
You keep cutting out.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it'll get better.
We'll just go like this, and we'll do
Yeah.
this. I love your positive.
It sounded good. I was listening to the last. I've been listening the whole time. So you sounded good. I could hear you very clear. So happy to be here.
So before we dive into it, for folks who are here who came in because I'm live on reading, this is Mystic Behind the Journey episode. And my next guest is from Sample 208 that was on Cuts for Life. He's also produced on the Beautiful Resistance album. So we've continued to create. And then he is also the one who sent me the remix to Girlfriend's Girl that was more acoustic to that.
Yeah.
So please introduce yourself. Tell us who you are as a music person, because
as a music person. So when I used to DJ, I went by Sample 208, but we had a band called Pollen, or I had a band called Pollen, Pollyn, and we were a band called Pollen when I produced the song Neptune's Jewels and that remix that I found today for Girlfriend Sistagirl. And Pollen was a 3-piece band. I did all the beats. Anthony did the guitar, and at that time probably played bass. And then Genevieve sang. And on Neptune's Jewels, Anthony played bass and guitar. I did all the beats and all the production part, and Genevieve was just around.
So curious about that. It kind of jumps into the question that I try to be professional over here and have.
Yeah, that's cool.
And so I wanted to start with, before we got, I think I got your track from Matt. Is that who? Remember how it got to?
You're cutting out, but I think I heard the question. It had to have been through Matt Kahane.
Yeah.
It had to be through Matt Kahane because So I met Matt Kahane when he was an assistant at Atlantic Records. He was my friend's assistant. He worked for my friend Mike, and I must have met him through there. And we would, I don't know how it moved on from him. Just when he left to do Good Vibe, I directed a video for Spontaneous. Like early on, that was probably before we did music. I don't know, like that. It's been 20 years, so the sequence of events I don't know, but I know I did a video. I directed a video for Spontaneous. It had to have been before because I didn't know Matt Lavella at that point. I knew him once we started working. But Matt knew I had a band and knew I made beats too. And he must have put us together.
I think he sent me. He might have sent me a cassette tape.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It might have been a CD.
Yeah, I don't know what was on it. I do remember, like before, like so this morning, I went and listened to the song again, and then I listened to Worth Saving, and then I knew we had done a few other things. We had a Pollen song that had a remix. That was exactly what you were talking about, that had you rapping on it, but it was like a re-recorded vocal. We did it at the same studio with Matt Lavella. When Pollen had like a manager, and we were like, oh, this is all gonna happen, so we're gonna put out this EP, and we need a remix, and all this stuff. So we that was around the time I must have sent Matt beats. He sent them to you. But then we did Neptune's Jewels, so I listened to that again, and then I went. There's a sample in it that had to be clear.
Right. So I want to talk about this.
Okay.
But I want to start from the place of, if you could talk a little bit about how the live instrumentation and also with the beats.
Yeah. So I believe I have like a few memories from recording. The beat you got probably did. I know it didn't have any guitar or any bass on it. It was just the beat. It was just like the sample and drums. And then I remember at some point we were in the studio without you, and it was Anthony and I was like, and we were like working out what he was going to play and how he was going to play it. And then you came in and you were like, you didn't say it this way, but it was like, oh wow, you made it way better. like it sounds way better. I thought it was just going to be like the sample and the drums, but like there's like a lot more stuff going on. Like we just, and that's sort of how I still kind of work today is I like sending like not bare bones, but like the vibe. You get the vibe. The vibe's not going to change. But then once I get vocals and I hear where the song's going, then I really like to go in and add stuff. Because then I can be like, oh, the bass should change here. And I don't like doing that.
I remember being so struck by that sample, though, right?
Yeah.
I broke my own rule because my rule was no samples.
Oh, I didn't know that was a rule.
That was my rule, was no samples.
Yeah.
I wouldn't accept tracks that had samples.
Yeah.
Because I understood how that could restrict me.
Yeah, but it got cleared.
Well, but here's the thing is, I remember hearing it, though, and I heard what they were saying.
Yeah.
Love has never known you, right?
Yeah.
Like, it just struck this deep part of my heart
at
a point in my life where I was like, still sad.
Yeah.
And still kind of broken, but deeply believed in love and was inspired by the man that I was dating.
Yeah.
Or I was seeing, right?
Yeah.
And that just, and the drums were just hit so hard. And so I just remember gravitating towards it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
and feeling really good about it.
I feel like that's the type of music I've always made is like kind of sad, moody with loud drums. Like that's what I've you know,
But I
that's
think that's
what we.
part of the reason I gravitated and we
Yeah,
did Worth Saving, which
yeah,
we won't talk about a lot because it's not this
yeah,
album, but
yeah,
Worth Saving as a song is also like this heartbroken song. It
yeah,
sounds
yeah, yeah.
really,
It has
really
a
fucking
mood.
pretty.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what like the band, our band, what I mean
Yeah.
for the like, you know, especially we put out 3 albums over the course. We're not like we're not a band anymore, but we put out 3 albums. And the first one was very heavily like in the zone of like Neptune's Jewels and Worth Saving, like kind of like moody organ.
I mean, I love like the sneaker pimps and all kind of vibey stuff that we were sending at that time. Like my homeboys in New York were literally mailing me cassette tapes.
Yeah, and that was the stuff that
dope stuff.
Yeah, and that was the
like
stuff that we were listening to. But I grew up making rap music, and so I think you know those groups, the Portisheads and Massive Attacks, were using the same equipment and sampling the same records that we sampled, and they were just singing over it, and it was slower, but they were using the same type of sampling techniques and cut and paste and that sort of. And as rap was changing, like I ended up gravitating more towards that because like that's where the sampling went, and it was less, you know, that's where people were sampling and chopping and doing interesting stuff, and rap becoming commercial lost that appeal. I'm back
were
doing
you
rap
aware
music.
what it took to get that sample cleared on Neptune's Jewels?
No, I just heard, hey, it got cleared.
Yeah,
like,
so
I don't think I don't remember it being like difficult. It's from a movie. It's from a movie score.
Yeah. So, but what happened is Matt was like, there is this sample to clear.
Yeah.
I'm wondering can somebody in the audience tell me if I sound crazy to them or if that's just what I hear back. I don't know if I did something when I dropped my phone.
It's a tiny bit choppy, but not where you can't hear.
Yeah, but I didn't. I'm getting a feedback that I didn't get with other folks, but I got it before I dropped my phone.
Okay.
But so Matt was like, yeah, we're gonna try to clear the sample, and it's from a movie. And I was like, you have to go to them, and you have to tell them that I really love this man.
Yeah.
Thank you, words. I see you. We'll see, but at least you can still hear me.
Yeah.
And I don't know why there is the echo. I think it's coming from your side though. But I was like, you have to go and tell them that I love this man. And they need to clear this sample.
Yeah.
This song is like everything to me. This is my love song. Right? As I reflect, like, well, that was like, who cares if I love this man? Who cares if that's what kind of song it was? Like, does that mean that we'll clear it?
Yeah.
But they actually cleared it, and the cost that it took to clear it was, I want to say that it was close to being half what my entire record deal had been when I signed it. And that's how important it was. It's not as came out of what I had been signed for, which half of that, it was $20,000, and half of that was to make the album, and half of that was my advance, a $10,000 advance.
Yeah.
And then here was the sample, and of course, I mean, I had, as artists, we always have to pay it back.
Yeah.
But it didn't come out of that, so I'm really happy that Matt worked on it, and it was absolutely. I was holding my breath to know whether it was gonna get cleared. I have to ask you, like, what did you think once it was rhymed on and I sang the hook? Like,
I thought it was one, like, there are experiences when things just sort of fall into place, and that song was one of the ones. It like, we were only in the studio one day, and like everything from the guitar to the bass to everything you did just fell into place. It was like, all right, this is like, there was no, you know, I've been in sessions where you bang your head against the wall and you're like, this isn't what I thought it was gonna be. Like
Yeah.
this isn't working. Like, let's come back tomorrow with fresh ears. Like, this was totally not that. This was like smooth. Like, by the end, you know, like as soon as you start rapping, when I met you, boy, like when you came in like the way you did, I didn't have to hear the rest. It was like that line and the way you come into the song, because it's all there's no drums. There's the sample and then the vocal that is like filtered on top of it, and then like it's sort of like a little drop, and then you come in kind of with the drums, and like as soon as it all hits together, it's like a big release, and it's like you're in for the ride.
Yeah, and my point though, I think in coming in like that was just
Yeah.
that's a P girl ballad, right?
Yeah.
Like, spitting that shit. Like, how could you tell a man that you loved him more than like a dope rhyme, right?
Yeah.
Like, I wrote this for you. I don't even need to say what your name is, right? Like, I wrote this and I'm spitting this for you, and I love you and I thank you, even if we're never together, right?
Yeah.
And so it's dope that you felt that way about that song. I have to ask, like, because we worked on multiple albums, and you produced on Beautiful Resistance and produced Worth Saving, which is a deeply personal and important song to me. Do you feel like, in what ways do you feel like maybe I've grown as an artist or healed as a person?
So Worth Saving, I don't know if we ever finished it, because I think we did that pretty soon after Neptune's Jewels. Like, I have a weird concept of time, but I don't.
No, it definitely was not. I don't think it was close.
But was it like within like 2 years? Like, it wasn't like a 10-year gap.
I started we recorded early on in the Beautiful Resistance.
Yeah.
But I don't know that it was 2 years. It might have been more like 4.
Okay. Well,
but
what I thought Worth Saving was a little deeper in terms of like storytelling, and I think the beat sort of also reflected that. The drums aren't as hard. Like, it was a little more produced in terms of like instrumentation. And what I did notice in both of the songs, being that I still am making rap songs today, rap songs back then were way longer. Like Neptune's Jewels is almost 5 minutes long. And I'm lucky with the people that I'm working with now. I get like everything's under 3 minutes. Like, it's crazy. Like,
I'm still creating things that are 4 and 5.
Yeah. I like how
let that shit ride.
I agree. I'm always trying to like extend these songs by like putting like multiple courses at the end, like just because I'm like, oh, I want a song that's like that breaks 3 minutes. So like an album of 10 songs is more than a half hour, you know? So
yeah, I mean, you know, I think some pieces are great being short.
Yeah.
And I think it's great to play with structure. There's songs that I've written that are two rhyme verses and a bridge, or you know, that you do all kinds of crazy things with. I don't think we're bound by this 60.
No, I like working with artists.
I love having that kind of that story arc, right? Where you start someplace and you go someplace, and there's a kind of closing to that. To the story.
We did I think another song we did, which was for one of my projects, was like very different too, that had like multiple beat changes. It was called On My Way. It was on that record that was shaped like the Nike.
Yeah.
I did for this Nike project. And that was like, I was really happy that you rhymed over something that like was very different, that like you wouldn't normally rhyme over. And I, you know, like I've always enjoyed getting people to do stuff that's a little out of their comfort zone, but not like crazy, you know, not like, hey, I want you to rhyme over like noise and like,
Right. Yeah, I
stomping.
can't
It's like
do that.
that. No, it's
Well, I mean,
still,
I can't do that.
yeah, it's still pretty and nice, but
Yeah,
it's a
yeah,
little, it's not what you would expect. It's
yeah,
unexpected.
yeah, yeah.
So
It's a trip to go back and listen to Worth Saving, though, and that's
yeah,
one of those songs. And again, this is not a dive into the beautiful piece
yeah,
of the album, but since I'm telling the people who are listening,
yeah,
dive into that album. But because I'm with you and we're discussing it, it's like that was the first song that I ever wrote where I really deeply felt that I needed to go to the person I wrote it about to play it for them
yeah,
and say, I'm not asking your permission
yeah,
necessarily, but I do think it's important that you hear
yeah,
it. Because worth people can go and listen to it and maybe you'll understand why I felt I had to go to that woman, a sister, a woman that I love, who through writing that song, it wasn't something I was angry, but that I was heartbroken by what
yeah,
she was doing to herself and with
yeah,
her. So I thank you for that. Few more questions. I'm trying to be timely.
yeah,
My DU one last week was a bit long, but you never know what's gonna happen with this undergrad. You never know what
yeah,
we're gonna put together. But I did want to ask you about this remix that you sent me this morning about Girlfriend, Sistagirl, which I was
yeah.
acoustic remix with the guitars on that. Can you tell me anything about that other than that you found it in your file this morning?
Well, there must have Matt or someone must have sent me an acapella at some point when you guys were getting ready to release that as a single. I don't know if that was DreamWorks or before,
No,
but
that was before.
it was good vibe. So
Yeah,
they must have sent me an acapella and was like, "Hey, mess around with this."
yeah,
And
yeah,
it's essentially Paul. It's Anthony and I, messing around, getting him to play like, figuring out like the chords on a guitar, and then
yeah. Because the guitar is on there, and the guitar is
yeah,
dope.
it's all
I
in
think that
key. Like it's all that was like, you know, live, but then looped. Like that's
yeah,
how a lot
yeah,
of our stuff is when we got Pro Tools. Is Anthony would play a bunch of stuff. It's still like that today. Like, and then I'll find the piece that I like, and then
yeah,
kind of make
yeah.
structure like the chords with
A
that.
lot of people. Do you feel like a lot more producers are doing that now than we're doing back 20
Uh,
years ago?
I mean, I think it's easier to do that now with the like. It's way easier. Like it's way easier to make a beat. Like I have like machines here, and over like for the last, my computer was with Apple getting fixed. I use my computer for
Yeah,
everything. So
yeah.
from last Tuesday to this Monday, I had no laptop, and
Uh,
I was like, oh, maybe this is a great time to try to go to my new drum machine and like try to like mess with it and get it going. And it
yeah.
took a long time for me to like do what would take me 30 seconds in like Ableton.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
I'm like working that way where like a lot of people play stuff. It's just something that like happened naturally, but I know that there's a lot of people that have made music like that, going back to even like the Talking Heads, like
yeah.
finding like
Absolutely,
loops
absolutely.
and like
Yeah,
and building off that. Because I'm not like a traditional musician, like I still like, I working on something now, and I got a horn player to just, I was like, hey, I want something really sort of like
yeah,
jazzy and moody, like play over this whole song for
yeah.
like 3 minutes on multiple tracks, and then I'm gonna like find like
Mhm.
different bits and put it together and make a chorus line
Yeah,
out of it.
yeah,
And
yeah,
it's essentially what I was doing on Pro Tools, but now I do it in Ableton, and it's just like it's way quicker than it used to be. But yeah, Worth
yeah,
Saving
yeah,
was a remix that we did, and I'm sorry, Girlfriend Sistagirl remix was a remix that we did, and I'm pretty sure, I mean, we handed it in. I think we were just doing it kind of for fun, like just to be
yeah,
like
yeah,
like
yeah,
we
yeah.
wanted to
And who
bring,
knows what Matt was thinking,
yeah,
right?
we wanted to bring the
Who knows?
vibe that we had from Neptune's Jewels, and like take that and put the other song into it. And I remember it working really well. Like I was, when I sent it to you, I thought you had heard it before.
I
Like,
may have heard it, but
yeah,
it
yeah.
didn't stand out to
But
me.
yeah, it has like I think I played like percussion on it. I know I played it and then looped it, but
I
there's
think I
like,
have to play it like hella loud. But when those guitars came in and the more acoustic guitars, I was
yeah,
like, oh,
it has
this
a
is the
similar,
cool
it has
vibe.
similar vibes to all the stuff we've
Yeah,
done,
but
and that
it
was
makes
what I liked about it.
like talking with you makes me think about how, you know, I mean, come on, I come from the Bay Area and we had all kinds of live studio
Yeah,
who were replaying stuff and gravitating towards those bass lines, you know, and other live instrumentation. But that's part of where our slump comes from. It's always has.
yeah,
But that in working in my stuff, yeah, you were one of the for that album, for the Cuts album. That was, I think, the only kind of that style on the album. And
yeah,
then as I progressed on, like I deeply fell in love with Kanye West stuff that he was doing
yeah,
when, and people have heard, you know, Get By and by Quad, all that stuff. But before all that came out with Kanye, and that was at DreamWorks, he was going through trouble. And then I heard what became Breathe, I think it was. And I said, go back to that.
yeah,
Whatever that is, that. And he
yeah,
was like, I haven't developed that all the way yet. I haven't done it. And so what
yeah,
ended up out of it though was that he was working with all the dope live musicians,
yeah,
and how he was pulling together music and the couple tracks that we worked on. And I've continued to gravitate towards that some stuff that I worked on with Walter. Again, it's this live instrumentation and setting it up, moving it around. And then there's other live instrumentation that flows all the way through. So
yeah.
I appreciate you. I appreciate that style. And just reflecting like, wow, that was probably. Oh, my mom wanted to say though that is one of the dopest love songs ever. She wanted to make sure that I said that. And
Ah,
so
that's
think
great.
it's a dope love song, and so dope to spit, and it's dope to have, you know, talk to a man, but to have people have gravitated it where women are women and men are men, and kind of adopting it into their own life. You know, you love somebody, you
Yeah.
build them jewels, you know. So I got to ask you, what if you want to share, if you would like to share, what are you up to now, and where can people find whatever you're up to now?
So I did our band Pollen put out a few records, and then we stopped making music. We put out 3 records and tried to, you know, I guess gave it our best.
Mm-hmm.
And that, like, our best was always like Anthony and Anthony's the guitarist, always did other stuff. We were never just like only doing music. Like, I'm
Yeah.
a designer and I went to film school, so I like direct stuff, and Anthony's an editor and now he directs stuff and shoots stuff. So we were always like, yeah, we have this band, but we do like a bunch of other stuff too.
Yeah.
So it was never like, this is everything to me. And Genevieve, who is a singer in Pollen,
Yeah.
she was like, this is everything to me. So she still is doing music. She's on Brain Feeder, which is Flying Lotus's label. She has a band called Knower, and she just put out a solo album like last year. Last year. I did a song on it, one of the singles, directed the video. We were in Tokyo together at the same time. We shot this video where the idea was she was going to get drunk in Tokyo, and the camera was going to be attached to her the whole night, and she had to sing as she was drinking. So it's basically like her the song's called Godzilla. So that's why we did it in Tokyo. So and so Pollen sort of we're not touring, we're not doing anything. We put out a anthology record that's like a 3-disc set that has kind of everything on vinyl and a bunch of remixes. Nice. And then Genevieve and I have continued to work on music. We have an album that's finished that we're trying to figure out when to put out, and then Anthony and I work together on film stuff.
Is Anthony still playing though?
No, but like I played him. I'm working with this singer, with this guy singer, and I played him the song, and he was like, "This could use guitar," and there's like a guitar line
yes.
and he was like, and I was like, "If you want to break out your guitar and play, go ahead." Like, but you haven't touched your guitar in like years. But if you want to, I will totally use it.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Please
so
do.
and then, but
reading
as a music person, I've been doing something under the name Real Bad Man. So I started a clothing brand called Real Bad Man after I said I'm not doing pollen, I'm not going to do music. And I'm like, I'm going to start this clothing brand, and it's going to be me being able to do whatever I want. Like, because I do a lot of design work for a bunch of brands. And at the end of the day, there's always someone who's like, why don't we change this? Or this isn't right for the brand. But, and I've been doing that for years. But I was like, this is going to be mine, right? If I want to put something stupid on a shirt, I can do it. No one can say no. And so we started doing like bootleg shirts of bands that like never had merch, like old bands.
Wow.
And then I was like, I want to do a record with this where we sample those songs and then have people rap to them or do something. So we started with that, and then when it came to the second season, all the shirts everything had a theme. So the first one was like krautrock, and we were really inspired by this band Can and Tangerine Dream. So it was all samples with that, and they were like limited white labels that are stamped and had no. If you got it, you got it. If you didn't, you didn't. And then the second one was all about drugs, and I was like, and I was lucky that the first one, the producers also rapped, so it was very easy to be like, hey, this is the song you're gonna sample, make a song out of it. With the drugs one, it was way more difficult. So I ended up having to make the songs to get the rappers on because I wanted specific people, and so it was all samples of albums that were like stoner albums. So, and then it kind of progressed from there, and then I was like, all right, I'm just gonna do rap albums. So I did. We put out I had last year, or over the last year and a half, we did 3 compilations, and it was all my beats with. There's a song with Paz from De La, Cool Keith, like new people and old people kind of mixed together. And then we did last year, end of the year, an album with Boldy James from Detroit, who's like one of my favorite rappers. And we did an album called Real Bad Boldy, and it got reviewed. It got good reviews on Pitchfork and everywhere. And we did vinyl. And we did some merch, and it went really well. And so now I'm finishing like 4 projects, like album projects. Another one with Boldy. There's one with this guy Stove God Cooks from New York, who's really good. Pink Sifu, who's a really good rapper musician. We're doing an album, and then. Smoke Dizza, also from New York. That one's finished. It's being mixed. So, and then there's a few other, and then this Genevieve project.
Badman.com.
Real Bad Man. Yeah, if you go on Spotify and type in Real Bad Man, it's 3 separate words. It has nothing to do with the dance hall reggae saying. It's not it has nothing to do with that. Yes, it's not that. It's all separate words. The idea was that as a brand, we were stealing artwork. So we were doing sort of bad things by taking artwork that didn't belong to us and repurposing it. And we weren't just bad, we were real bad. It's sort of a joke. It's a little bit of a joke. And so
I'm going to tell you this because you're like, I don't use IG. I don't think. you should share your art here, your visual art, your
I have yet to do an interview for as like talking about Real Bad Man. It's a character, like the logo is like,
people are gonna hear this, and
I'm
people are
sure they will.
gonna
I'm fine. Look,
so now they're
if they find out through my older stuff, that's
yeah,
totally cool. Like I'm not hiding it, but um for me, I'm working with these artists that have bigger profiles than me, and like
yeah,
I want the music to speak for itself, and
yeah,
I want like it doesn't like I have a sound and a style that I want to continue with, but it's really about like it's me working with these artists and like and putting out something through our lens, but it's without the rapper. It's just a cool beat. So like
right,
I
right,
want
right.
to play the
I gotta
background.
say
Like
that I super appreciate you for having provided uh, a soundscape, a place for me to be able to express myself, and for creating a song that people absolutely, absolutely love.
yeah,
And as far
I'm
as
very
I'm so
thankful.
happy that people are going to be able to, for people who don't know about it,
Yeah,
be able to discover it with the 20th
yeah.
anniversary. And just it's like, thank you for coming on. They said, "What's your IG handle?"
Well, Real Bad Man has an IG handle for the brand, but
Yeah,
Adam 208 is mine, but it's mostly like pictures of my kids. Like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
not
Which
like
congratulations,
I do
congratulations.
not do a good job promoting what I do, but that's what the Real Bad Man Instagram is, and so
Yeah,
we have like a pretty good amount of followers, and it keeps
nice,
growing. So,
nice, nice.
yeah, it's good. I'm
I hope folks check it out. And
yeah,
again, like, having you guys on here is explore part of exploring the journey of making the album and seeing what we remember,
yeah,
you know, celebrating it for the 20th anniversary, but it's also wanting folks to understand what the background of your guys' journeys are too, right?
yeah,
We were all in a very different place when this album
yeah.
came,
Is
and
Matt
many of you
Lavella
have
gonna
gone
be
on
on
to
one of
be
these?
incredibly. He did. He was on the first one.
Oh, okay.
He never
I
does
like.
G. He
Ev-
never does shit like this, but he was on the first one.
oh,
So,
all right. I'm gonna have to go back and watch it. I every like couple years I'll get a random text from him. Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah. He and I have stayed in touch, and people will be like, "Have you talked to Matt?" And I'm like, "Yeah, Matt and I have stayed
yeah,
in touch." That's and I want to say this about Good Vibe before we kind of close out, but like Good Vibe was a dope place. It was a family. It was an actual movement. A lot of artists are like, I have an Instagram. I have a movement. That's one kind of movement, right? But when you have a label that hip hop artists such as Slum Village and Spawn Self and Big Dro and Feel the Agony, you see all it's
yeah,
just that you have a beautiful place, beautiful, beautiful movement. For Luck and Scar Freedom album grew out of a beautiful time on the ground and was a free express album, and I super appreciate you being part of that journey, but also being part of my continued journey and with Beautiful Resistance. And I hope that we can create again another day.
yeah. I'm always down to record more music. So all you got to do is shoot me a text. Hey, send me some beats, and I'll like if I'm at my computer, I'll probably
Yeah,
just
you're the type
throw
of
you.
person who sends an entire folder.
Yeah. I have like I
Wish
did that like 2 nights ago. Someone was like, "Hey, I need some beats." Like, and I was like, "Hey, this is a gig's worth of beats." Like,
Right.
so,
Well, I
but
will reach out, but thank you for
yeah,
coming on today. I
thank you for
appreciate
having me.
you, and go have a nice evening with your family.
I got to get on a Zoom first, so I got to go on.
Yeah, we'll do
I
your
got to
Zoom
do
and then
another
spend your
Zoom,
time with
and
your
then I'll
family.
go in. Thank you. All right,
Okay.
all
Yeah,
right.
you can get out by pressing that X.
I'm gonna press the X. All right,
Yeah. Thank
all right.
you.
Bye.
Love, love, love. Thank you.
All right.
Peace. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Hopefully that audio wasn't too bad on that last interview. You see, now that he's logged off, I no longer hear that echo. I'm not sure if you guys hear echo. We've never had that issue before. But interesting episode. And I want folks to know that I do not like prepare questions and give them to my guests prior to them getting here, because I think that part of the fun of it is us trying to remember together what was happening 20 years ago in this brilliant time in our lives as young, thriving hip hop artists, coming out of the underground, and defining who we were and trying to walk in the paths of those who came before us, but also to create our own lanes and paths. And so thank you for joining Mystic Behind the Journey, episode 3, creation part 1. I will absolutely be posting this. I wrote down notes for myself so I could tell you next week, which is episode 4 of Mystic Behind the Journey, will feature Walt Liquor, who produced You Say I Say. It'll feature Planet Asia, who was on W, which is a song that was nominated for a Grammy, produced by Spawn. And I will also bring on Essential, who is part of my Digital Underground family, and Angela, who is just straight family. And part of what I will discuss with those two is, they were there through the whole process at our house on Oakland Avenue, and we did what we called church, and we would drink, Miller Genuine Draft and play Dave Hollister hella loud and play Lauren on vinyl, and we would sing, and we'd stay up all night, and we would rhyme. And they were some of the people who heard things right when I wrote them before I went to record them, and they were some of the people who heard it when I brought it back from my weekends in LA at the studio recording. So I think that they just have good insights. So thank you for joining. And I hell of appreciate, there's not a large number of you who join these IG lives. That's not what I do it for. It's about sharing. It's about having an intimate kind of look into what this is, and me sharing the journey with the people who are part of it, as opposed to simply going and doing an interview and talking about myself and talking about the album. It's like I want to big other people up, and I want people to understand that you may see me as an artist as Mystic in the front, but the creatives who contribute to the overall sound of a project, whether it's Cuts for Luck and Scars for Freedom or something that you hear today, sometimes we don't know who these people are, and sometimes we do. But regardless of whether people publicly know them, what we create as MCs, as singers, as spoken word artists, as poets, unless we're producing it ourselves, we would not be able to draw those stories out if we didn't have these masterful producers who are right there with them. And so I want to thank all of the producers who were on today and generally on the Cuts for Luck and Scars for Freedom album for trusting me as an MC, as a MC who's a woman, as an MC who never made an album, of taking my direction, and working with me and providing me those palettes to explore and to also heal. So I hope to see you guys next week. I love you. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you learned something new. I appreciate you, and peace out.